Back then, this was all fairly new stuff, and people were very resistant to the whole idea of going digital.
This concept of a computer that could draw these shapes for you, we were introducing a whole new way of thinking.
There were a lot of people that were very skeptical. So we did this video of me jumping out of an airplane as sort of the metaphor of here's how scary it is to go outside your comfort zone. I hated jumping out of the airplane, by the way. People loved it. I think because they could identify with it. Because for them to make that leap then, it was super scary.
There were skeptics for quality of text. What was the precision of the line? You know, I've used my rapidograph in years past, and I create this perfect line. And so here I come along, and I'm trying to evangelize the process of using Adobe Illustrator. I search for some of the best designers out there, and I bring them to invitationals I'm putting on. We set up Adobe Illustrator, brought these skeptics into the room, and changed their whole lives.
We called it influencing the influencers, and it was really, really effective. We had some amazing artists. David Hockney came. Key figures in publishing like Life and Time, New York Times.
We introduced this technology to Time magazine, and boom! Every infographic at Time magazine is now being done in Illustrator.
All of the economics of publishing a magazine changed dramatically. And it was really Illustrator and PostScript and the printers and the Mac that started all of that.
Multiple designs could be done in half the time, and production changed completely, so it was a revolution. It can only be equated to perhaps when Gutenberg came up with the printing press. Illustrator, it really has changed the world, and it's changed the way graphic designers work and the art that's been created. And it's absolutely precise and perfect and adjustable.
What people have been able to do with Illustrator is just astounding. Everybody said you're going to ruin good design because now anybody can do it. But the cream rises to the top. The creativity is in the designer. The creativity is in the person who uses the tools.
I think I was meant for digital because it's just the tool that I want to deal with and not the maintenance. As you think it, you can create it.
The idea that you can sit in front of this box and craft extraordinary things that can be repurposed and published anywhere is phenomenal.
My Zen time is when I am just pointing and clicking away and endlessly manipulating Bézier curves. My chosen medium is Adobe Illustrator. It's the thing I feel most comfortable in, and I think I probably wouldn't be doing what I do if I didn't have that as a tool. If you see me hold a pencil, I hold it like a 5-year-old holds a crayon. It's really ridiculous. There's very different ways to work digitally. You can work digitally and still work in a very hand-hewn, handmade human way. Most of the work that I do by hand with lettering is really just part of my process of creating on the computer. My sketches are really just notes, so they don't have to be beautiful. I'll just take an iPhone photo of the sketch, and then I usually just drop that into an artboard in Illustrator to actually get the vector work in there. Daily Dropcap was my first major project that I did that was sort of me putting myself out there and creating something online. I would draw a letter every single day and work my way through the alphabet 12 different times. Dropcap sort of came from this tradition of illuminated manuscripts. I really thought about all of these letters as being these like illustrative initial caps that you could put into your blog. It got traction almost immediately, and so much came from it. Most recently, this Penguin Drop Caps project, in which I'm doing 26 classic books. They created a dream project for me at Penguin, which is pretty amazing.
I consider Illustrator my pencil on the canvas. It's how I plan my paintings. I create the basic elements in Illustrator, and then Photoshop becomes the paint on top of those vectors. I tried many different angles, and I could just never capture Times Square. And then when these giant printers came out, I realized that was the way to show Times Square. It has to be big like the place itself. The actual perspective was created in Illustrator because of the sheer size of it. It actually measures 5 feet on the height and 25 feet on the width. The beauty of Illustrator is that since it's resolution independent, I can work very small and enlarge it without losing any detail. A lot of my scenes are neons and lights, so to have them actually backlit, it really brings out the brilliance of the image. So that's a whole new way of doing things, is light boxes.
Illustrator integrates into all of my projects at some point in the pipeline, guaranteed. It is resolution independent. It doesn't matter what size you're working on. You can design for a billboard. You can design for your smartphone. A calligram is an illustration that is made out of type. It's like a mosaic made of words. You're taking the type on a path tool tens of thousands of times per illustration, and everything's vector. The entire illustration, you can zoom in infinitely and you will get down to the smallest piece of type. The Steve Jobs piece is made of the ad that Apple ran in the late 90s. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers. And so I took that copy and the most iconic Steve Jobs look and illustrated him. When I posted this piece to DeviantArt, I thought, I just want to share this with people. In a few days' time, it explodes. Pretty soon the counter's up to like over 100,000 views. The design director of Time magazine sees my illustration of Steve Jobs, and he loves it.
It's been an amazing adventure to look back over these years and to see how Illustrator starts as this spark of an idea and essentially explodes in all directions.
Illustrator is just like a pen or a paintbrush. And it all goes back to starting a blank canvas and creating something out of thin air.
At this point, it's like, surprise me. What else can you possibly come up with? They're magicians to me, these code writers. They just create these incredible tools. And for me, it's just more toys to play with.
I think what we've been able to do is just release the creativity in people and allow them to think anything they want and be able to create it.